Welcome to That's Good Sports. I'm Brandon. I am terrible at checking my own work, Perna. Today is about the Buffalo Bills, but I have a correction to make from the Giants episode. I said this was Dexter Lawrence, and it's actually Christian Wilkins, which I should know because I already compared Dexter Lawrence to Sub-Zero from Street Fighter. I mean Ryu, not Mortal Kombat. Street Fighter. 3 Clemson defensive linemen going in the first round of the draft. You see why I might cross some fucking wires. But I apologize. Today, we will recap the entire Buffalo Bills offseason and predict if they will be better or worse in 2019 and whether or not they will end up homeless like the Rams, Chargers, and Raiders. As a tortured fan base that has devolved from this type of optimistic hope to trying to off themselves before every home game, I pray to the football gods that they are not just better this season, but dominant. Next to Browns fans, there's no group of football people I respect more. Let's go sports. If you'd like more football videos, and I do a lot of football videos here, please subscribe to this YouTube channel after a word from my sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by the Cove Commuter Speaker. It sounds so good that I'm reading the ad through the speaker. The Cove Commuter Speaker is a portable wireless Bluetooth speaker that packs a lot of sound in a compact package. Just like me. A single charge gets you up to 8 hours of sound. It has an indoor and outdoor mode for the best possible sound, a subwoofer, that's right, a subwoofer, and its Bluetooth connection reaches up to 30 feet. If you're looking for a great portable speaker, check out Cove with my link in the description. It's only $70 with my link, which is a 65% discount to you. Check it out. Now, this would not be an appropriate 2019 Bills recap if I didn't take a minute to honor superfan Pancho Billa, or Billa, who passed away not too long ago from cancer. His last wish was to give school supplies to children in need, which is incredibly honorable, as my last wish will be that someone eliminate all my still living enemies. Bills fans were able to raise $100,000 to make that happen, and just a day or two ago, Pancho backpacks filled with school supplies were filled by some Bills players and prepared for kids who need school supplies. So very nicely done, Pancho, and I am sure your legend will continue to live in the Bills community. Now, moving on to the shitty jokes. The biggest issue the Bills face currently may be staying in Buffalo. The NFL is basically telling the Bills they need to build a new stadium or move to a new city willing to pay for a new stadium, meaning the Bills organization must pay for a new home or get the city to help them pay for one. Seems kind of stupid to me that the league, a 15, 16, $17 billion a year industry, can't help small market teams with some fucking rent money. So I'll just say this, trying to take the Bills away from Buffalo is a good way to end up like a folding table at a Bills Mafia tailgate. It's like trying to steal a cub from its mother. These people will die for the Bills, and they will take you down with them. I know that New Era Field has been around since 1973, so it's probably time to upgrade. Part of the problem is that New Era Field sounds way more modern than it really is. If they really wanted to get the ball rolling, they would change the name and call it AARP Field or Werther's Original Stadium or East Arrowhead Stadium. Arrowheads are old. Yes, the Bills definitely need a new stadium, but it's not going to be a dome like most new stadiums. And Bills owner Terry Pegula said he wants something that reflects Buffalo. God only knows what that means. Bruce Almighty Field or just a beer can stadium built to model a beer can? Maybe Miller Lite, who made a beer can video game controller, will foot the bill. Regardless, it sure as hell will be outside. Despite making the first playoffs for the first time in the 21st century in 2017, the 2018 started off really rough for Buffalo. The Bills got embarrassed at home by the Ravens and Chargers so badly that Vontae Davis retired at halftime. Nathan Peterman lasted nearly a game with the 27.78 completion percentage before it was Josh Allen time. And then suddenly, at 0-2, they upset the Minnesota Vikings in Minneapolis. Not only did they win 27-6, but Josh Allen gave us one of the greatest plays of the season, maybe in NFL history, when he hurdled Anthony Barr. Sorry, that's clearly the wrong clip. That was, of course, Nathan Peterman trying to read a defense. I'm talking about this shot of Allen. Yes, there it is in all of its glory, which prompted Bills fans all over the globe to react like this.
Buffalo all the way this time!
Starting from the Minnesota game until the end of the season, the Bills went 6-8. A lot of those wins owed to Josh Allen's 631 rushing yards and 8 rushing touchdowns, giving him more rushing yards than both Dalvin Cook, Latavius Murray, and LeSean McCoy. So 3, not both. Anyway, making him the best running back in Minnesota and Buffalo. That was my point. The Bills lost 4 straight when Josh Allen was concussed, and they had to turn to Derek Anderson and Nathan Peterman again. But once Allen came back, they also had some impressive victories down the stretch, like a 41-10 road victory over the Jets in Week 10 and a 42-17 win over the Dolphins in the season finale. Basically, anytime they played not the Patriots in the AFC East down the stretch. Josh Allen finished with the 5-6 record, 18 total touchdowns and 12 picks, but only completed 53% of his passes, something he will need to improve on if he wants to take
Buffalo all the way this time!
What were some of the key losses for the Bills this offseason? When you're talking about key losses, you have to start and pretty much end with Kyle Williams, the longtime defensive tackle who retired after last season. One of the most Billsiest players of all time and a surefire Ring of Famer. Basically the Joe Thomas of the Bills, but without the pomposity to get skinny like Joe now that he's retired. Aside from him, they didn't have too many devastating departures. Tight end Charles Clay signed with Arizona, and their starting guard John Miller went to the Bengals, proving neither of those players actually care about winning. Now for key additions. The Bills' offseason was really about signing every moderately priced free agent available. Like all of them, but in a very responsible way. By that, I mean they signed good players at positions of need to mid-level contracts that shouldn't hurt them down the road. Basically what the Patriots do every year, but with 20 players instead of like 4 to 5. Most NFL teams did their offseason shopping at Tiffany's. The Bills went to fucking Costco. Speaking of things I hate on the weekend, I think as a Broncos fan, you can agree with me as Bills fans that the one thing we will be rooting against every weekend is Antonio Brown. How dare he disgrace your city the way he did during all the weird trade talk rumors. How dare he. Here's what they got with their executive membership at Costco. Center Mitch Morse from Kansas City, wide receiver Cole Beasley, wide receiver John Brown. You may only need one wide receiver, but it's a package deal at Costco. Tackle Ty Nsekhe, tight end Lee Smith and Tyler Kroft, guard/center Spencer Long, guard John Feliciano, running back Frank Gore, corner Kevin Johnson, corner EJ Gaines, tackle LaAdrian Waddle, wide receiver Andre Roberts and return specialist, running back T.J. Yeldon, guard Anthony Henderson, guard Quentin Spain, linebacker Maurice Alexander, outside linebacker Eli Harold, tight end Jake Fisher, and running back Senoris Perry. Senoris Perry. Senor Eyes Perry. One of those should be right. And also, one of those guys I totally made up. You try to figure out. Most of these moves, save for the 2 corners and couple depth linebackers, are designed to help quarterback Josh Allen. He's got an underneath possession receiver in Cole Beasley to go with Zay Jones, a deep threat in John Brown, a ton of depth on the offensive line right now, and of course Frank Gore, who will somehow end up with at least 800 yards rushing this year, and a sick gray wizard beard if he stops shaving. A lot of smart signings, and Mitch Morse was the most expensive at $11 million per year, which seems worth it considering he had a 69 rating from Pro Football Focus, a very sacred number in the city of Buffalo. Beasley and Brown were $7 and $9 million respectively, with less than half of their total money guaranteed. Plus, the Bills basically have an out year with either receiver after this season. The same goes with tight end Tyler Kroft, who is the only player I think they might have overspent on. But again, if he doesn't work out, it's really just a 1-year deal disguised as a 3-year deal. Same thing my wife said about our marriage. And then the Bills had a draft. They did have a draft, and they get a draft grade of
Buffalo all the way this time!
The Bills were one of the teams that benefited from the Daniel Jones pick at 6 because that allowed Ed Oliver to fall to them at 9th overall, picked by Pancho Billa himself. He's a versatile defensive lineman and can fill the void left by Kyle Williams on the interior if that's where they decide to play him. They're making him fight to earn that starting spot as well right now. After Oliver, they added tackle Cody Ford out of Oklahoma, who was a borderline first-round prospect and should help shore up their offensive line along with the moves they made in free agency. With all of the O-line depth they now have, I think their goal is to give Josh Allen 10 seconds to throw the ball every play. Devin Singletary was their 3rd-round pick, who at 5'7", 203 pounds is absolutely thick as hell. Imagine me, but with 60 more pounds of muscle on my body. If Tom Cruise ate me, you'd get one Devin Singletary. By the way, my Justin Bieber Tom Cruise video is pretty good, even though few of you have watched it. In the 4th round, they picked up Dawson Knox out of Ole Miss, who apparently is a tight end and not a lacrosse player or a wannabe filmmaker. Dawson's Creek. Finally, with the last 3 picks, they took linebacker Voshon Joseph. I still don't trust any V Josephs out there. Out of Florida, safety Jaquan Johnson from Miami and Daryl Johnson from North Carolina A&T, which I guess is a school. Again, I don't know shit about anything other than basically the Bills' first 2 picks, but I desperately wanted Ed Oliver to fall to the Broncos at 10. He's an instant impact player on defense, and Cody Ford should end up starting at right guard with Nseki or Waddle to lock down right tackle. I really don't know what the Bills are going to do there. Regardless, Buffalo has options on the line and are already moving guys all over the place in OTAs. And my favorite question in these episodes is who could be a breakout player for Buffalo? There are a lot of candidates here. You could argue TJ Yeldon, who gets to play behind a non-Jaguars offensive line for the first time. Defensive end Mike Love is getting ready to wreck the pocket like he wrecked the Beach Boys, and Isaiah McKenzie. Okay, well, never mind. I'm going a little outside of the box here, though, and I am picking a player in his 6th season, Trent Murphy. Murphy only picked up 4 sacks in 12 games last year, but I think the addition of Ed Oliver is going to make that defensive line a lot better. Between Jerry Hughes, Ed Oliver, and the disguisable Lorenzo Alexander, possibly commanding double teams that should free up players on the edge like Shaq Lawson and Trent Murphy to rush the passer. The biggest question mark is still the Bills' biggest weakness until proven otherwise, and that's quarterback Josh Allen. If he's still only completing just over half of his passes, I don't see how the Bills take that next step towards winning the AFC East, which God knows I want them to do, and for Josh Allen to trademark Josh Terrific. Josh Allen dethroning Tom Brady would be one of the most Bills things to ever occur, and that's what I'll be rooting for. So what does he need to do to clean up? Not his Twitter account again, because that has already been scrubbed during his draft day. It helps that he now has another possession receiver in Cole Beasley, like I mentioned earlier, but it's going to be on him to improve his decision making, to cut down on his interceptions, fix his tendency to throw behind receivers and throw late, which is footwork issues usually, and trust his pocket instead of bailing out and running if the first read isn't there. A lot of problems people have with Lamar Jackson can probably also be attributed to Josh Allen. So my 2019 prediction for the Bills. All of that said, I do think they will improve by a couple games and get to 500 in 2019. They still have to work through the growing pains of having a young quarterback, and they might need another good draft until they compete for the playoffs again, but they still have the luxury of 4 games against the Jets and Dolphins, which I'm sure the Jets and Dolphins and Patriots are all saying about the Bills as well. What's important is that they look like they are headed in the right direction. Josh Allen does have some exciting things about him, which I guess you could also say about the Jets and Dolphins, but in this episode, since it's about the Bills, we will especially say those things about the Bills. The Bills, the most promising team in the AFC East. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on the tubes of views. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, at Brandon Perna if you want to talk football at me there. Also, follow at Wilkie6. He helps me write all of these football videos here. Come back for more football stuff, or not football stuff. Watch some of the not football stuff, please, God.